Okay, so welcome everyone to our virtual open house for the Business Administration program. My name is Alex, and I'm one of the instructors in the Business Admin program. And this is the agenda that we have lined up for this evening. And if you have any questions, you can ask them at any time, or we can take questions at the end as well. So the first major topic we're going to look at is careers related to the business administration program. And then secondly, we'll look at the features of the program, course requirements, course format, computer requirements, and that kind of stuff. Okay, so off we go. So as I like to say, so what are the employment opportunities for graduates from the business admin program? So as I like to say, all organizations have an administrative feature. Whether you're a business, whether you're a government, whether you're a nonprofit organization, you are going to have administrative people. So graduates from our program can find jobs in a wide variety of employers, whether it's business, government, or nonprofit organizations. So here's a list of some job titles that graduates have obtained in the past. You might find work at as a financial disbursements clerk, an accounts receivable clerk, maybe a payroll clerk, an office administrator, a customer service representative, so a sales person for a company. And if you decide to continue on with your studies after the business admin certificate, there's a number of routes that you can take. You could go into the Human Resource Management Diploma that's offered by NLC itself. That's another one-year program that continues on the following year. Some people go on and do a degree through Athabasca University. Athabasca recognizes NLC's courses in the business admin program. And some people are interested in obtaining a professional designation in the human resource management field. It's called the Chartered Professional in Human Resource Management. This is kind of like a nationwide recognized designation. In order to obtain that designation, you need a degree. So that's another 2 years after your certificate. Another route that some students take, some students are interested in accounting, and they're interested in becoming accountants. So NLC and Portage College. So Portage is located to the east of us, so between Lac La Biche over to Cold Lake on the Saskatchewan border. They'll recognize NLC's business admin courses at the certificate level, and then that rolls you into a diploma program at Portage. Portage also has a business management diploma. So this is another one-year program. If you're interested in becoming a professional accountant in Canada, the designation is called the CPA, Chartered Professional Accountant. And in order to obtain that, you need to have a degree. So you can do a diploma at Portage. And then I think they're affiliated with, I want to say it's NAIT. I could be wrong. It could be Grant MacEwan in Edmonton. Anyways, so there's lots of opportunities for either further study or directly employment. So if you're a graduate from the Business Admin Certificate Program, what would be expected entry salaries? So we've got quite a range here, maybe from the low at $35,000 a year up to $60,000 a year. It really depends on the industry, your experience, the employer, like how much money do they have available to pay their employees. But anyways, so the entry level can be quite a range, but I think that's probably in the right ballpark. Okay, so the next major topic for the section is information about the Business Admin Certificate program itself. And so there's a number of prerequisites students require before you can get into the program. So I'm going to presume that students probably recognize these courses. These are Alberta courses. I'm not from Alberta, so I don't really recognize these things. Like, I don't really know what they stand for. But anyways, you need to have credits in English, either English 0190 or English 30-1 or English 30-2. And there's a math prerequisite as well. So you have to have credits in Math 30, Applied Math, Math 30-1, 30-2, or 30-3. And if you're from another province, and so you didn't have these course names in your own province, then we'll consider the equivalent from other provinces. And if you've been out of school for these course names in your own province, then we'll consider the equivalent from other provinces. And if you've been out of school for a long period of time, or maybe you're from a foreign country, and you don't have the formal academic prerequisites, there's a test that I think NLC can administer called the AccuPlacer, and that can determine whether or not you have these equivalent prerequisites to get into the program. So every year, we typically have a wide range of students. We have students coming out of high school, and we also have students that are going back to school after a gap of 30 years. So it may be that you finished school a number of years ago, maybe you didn't have these courses back then, and so you might take the AccuPlacer and still get into the program based on your skills. Okay, so how much does it cost to enroll in the business admin program? So these costs are the cost for a full-time student that's taking 5 courses per term. So we offer 5 courses in the fall and 5 courses, so from September to December. And then we have 5 courses going from January to April. And then we have an optional course in the springtime. So it's an optional course and you don't have to take this. And so the courses are about $456 each times 5. That's $22.80 per term. So if you go full time for 2 terms, and if you were also to take the optional practicum course in the springtime, there's a technology fee per term and a student association fee per term. So the cost per term for a full-time student taking 5 courses per term, it's about $2,500. And so if you take full-time courses, a 5-course load for 2 terms, plus the optional term in the springtime, it's going to cost about $6,000. That's tuition. That does not count books. So books tend to be expensive. We'll talk about books a little bit later. Books tend to be expensive. $200 is probably a bit high, but you can probably expect to pay, $120 to $150 a book in our program. Okay, so what's the format of our program? So we saw in the last slide that we offer 5 courses in the fall and 5 courses in the starting in January. And if you take 5 courses per term, well, you're going to be a full-time student, but technically you're classified as a full-time student if you're taking at least 3 courses per term. And so if you're a part-time student, and we do have many part-time students, they take fewer than 3 courses. So, 1 or 2 courses. We have many part-time students, these are people that often they work and they can't take time. They can't handle a full-time course load, so they just go part-time. It takes them, twice as long to finish the program, but we have many part-time students. Okay, so what's the course format? So our courses are a combination of, some courses are live, so they're online courses, and the online classes are during the work days. We also record the classes, so if you miss a class, you can watch the recording later on. Or if you're a part-time student and you're busy during the day at work, well, then you can watch the recording in the evening. The second kind of class we have, they're known as asynchronous classes. Technically I would call them canned courses. So the instructor has lessons corresponding to the chapters, and they're pre-recorded. And these are more self-directed, focused courses. Although we say they're self-study, we still have the same deadlines as in our other courses that you have to meet. Anyways, so I think for most of our students, this asynchronous format is probably new to you, because if you've come out of high school, or if you came out of high school a number of years ago, we're all accustomed to the live classes, or we're accustomed to the live classes in a classroom. Well, we don't have any classrooms. All of our classrooms are kind of online. So you log into a website, and the instructor logs into the website, and we kind of conduct the lessons online. And there's room for, there's opportunity to ask questions and all that kind of stuff. The asynchronous format, well, there's no online class, so there's fewer opportunities to ask questions, although you certainly have access to emailing your instructor, or phoning. There's fewer opportunities to ask questions, although you certainly have access to emailing your instructor, or phoning. Or I'm based at the Slave Lake campus here, so sometimes students are in Slave Lake and they're at the campus, and they just kind of walk in and knock on my door and ask their questions. Okay, so as I said before, we have 5 courses that we offer in the fall term, and we have 5 courses that we offer in the winter term. So in the fall term, these are arranged alphabetically, so there's nothing special about this order. We have an introductory course in accounting. We have an introductory course in computer applications. We have a course in microeconomics. We have an English course called business communications, and we have a business math course. In the winter term, we have 5 more courses. So these are our standard 5 courses. We have a second course in economics called macroeconomics. We have a course in business law. We have another course in accounting. It follows up on the first one. We have a course in organizational behavior, so how organizations kind of function. People get along with each other kind of differently inside an organization rather than outside an organization. And then we have a course in marketing. So of all the courses that we have, only one of our courses has a prerequisite of other courses from our program. And so for the second accounting course, it starts in January. You have to have passed both the introductory accounting course and the business math course. So that's a prerequisite. So typically, we only offer these 5 courses in the fall and these 5 courses in the winter term. And then we have an optional course in the spring term. So next year, NLC is considering offering some additional courses in the winter term, a second offering of the business communications course, a second offering of the business math course from the first term, and a second offering of the introductory accounting course offered in the spring term. But it really depends on student numbers. I don't know what numbers we need to run a course, but if a sufficient number of students sign up for these additional courses in the winter term, then they could be offered again. And so that gives, if you're a part-time student, this gives you some more flexibility in how to arrange your schedule. Otherwise, if you're a part-time student and we only offer courses in the fall and these 5 courses in the winter term, then it's going to take you at least 2 years to complete all the courses. But if we have some additional offerings, you might be able to pick up some courses and you might be able to finish the program a little bit earlier, or even if it takes 2 years or 3 years, you have some different course combinations that might make things a little bit more user-friendly for you. So in the spring term, so we have another term kind of towards, it's really it's really a May and June. And it's an optional course, and it's called a work practicum. So this is an opportunity for students to go out and work at an organization for a 1 month period, unpaid. But what that allows you to do is it allows you to get some work experience. It gives, if you're young and you don't have a lot of work experience, and it gives you a chance to get some experience that you can put on your resume. Often companies or organizations host these practicums because they're looking for full-time employees. And this is a way for potential employers to kind of take a potential employee as a test drive for a test drive at low risk to the employer. And that often happens. Sometimes students get a part-time job or full-time job or the temporary job or summer job after the employment practicum. Okay, so again, depending on how many students might sign up for these courses, there could be another offering of English in the spring term, so May and June, and there could be a second offering of the second accounting course in the spring term, but it really depends on how many students sign up for these things. Okay, so next little topic is, so as you know, our classes are either live classes, but they're live online classes, or they're asynchronous classes. So that means you're going to have a computer. So in the best of all possible worlds, what computer technology would you have a computer? So in the best of all possible worlds, what computer technology would you have access to? So in the best of all possible worlds, you would have a student dedicated computer at your home. So if you're doing your homework at home, you're not lining up to use the family computer and you have your own computer. I know that some students don't have this, but they have a computer at work they can use and their employer allows them to do courses from work. So that could be another option. So on your computer, you're going to need some software. So what software do you need? So there's a Microsoft, you're probably aware of Microsoft. They have Office productivity software. This year we're using Office 2019. Next year we might use Office 2000 or Microsoft 2021. These suite of programs, they have a word processing program, they have a spreadsheet program, they have a slide presentation program, they have a database, and then they have a calendar. Okay, so when you access the internet, not so much for accessing NLC's website, but if you're accessing the publisher websites, some publisher websites require that you use Chrome. So this is a Google browser. Microsoft has their own browsers. I can't even remember what Microsoft, Edge, they have Edge, they have Internet Explorer. Apple has its own browser, I think it's called Firefox. But those other browsers, they don't work very well with some publisher websites. Anyways, this browser is available for free. And so you can have multiple browsers on your computer. Anyways, you probably want to use Chrome. And ideally, if you're going to be doing your homework from home, ideally you would have access to high-speed internet access at home. We know that not all students have high-speed internet access at home, or maybe it's kind of iffy. You might kind of live in a rural area, and it might work on some days, and it might not work on other days. But in the best of all possible worlds, you would have access to high-speed internet at home for both accessing NLC's website and for accessing the publisher website. Okay, so we don't have any live classes we don't have any live classes on campus in our program, but sometimes students do have to attend an NLC campus. And so our midterm and final exams need to be completed at an NLC campus at the regularly scheduled date and time. If you live a far distance from an NLC campus, so this year, like last year, we have some students that live out of province, or for the most part, NLC is based up in north central Alberta, but sometimes we have students in southern Alberta. Or you might live in northern Alberta, but you still might live like 100 kilometers from the nearest campus. So if you live in an area that is not close to an NLC campus, we can arrange for you to do your exams at a non-NLC campus location. And good sites are a local library or another school. Like it could be an elementary school or it could be a high school. And we do that for quite a number of students. So it's usually not very difficult to arrange. Okay. Oh, okay. So just a second. I missed something. Oh, okay. So we have publishers. All of our courses have textbooks, and the textbooks come from publishers. And so in many of our courses, the assignments are located on the publisher websites. Generally speaking, these websites are user-friendly for students. Like these websites have tend to be test-driven over, hundreds of thousands of students or millions of students. And so usually they're quite user-friendly, and students tend to enjoy using publisher websites. So when it comes to books, one thing you have to kind of bear in mind is NLC doesn't have a bookstore. So where are you going to buy your textbooks? So students are going to have to buy the textbook, either the publisher. Sometimes the publishers sell the textbooks directly to students, and sometimes they don't. So sometimes students have to go to another bookstore like Amazon and buy the books from Amazon. So now that we have a lot of computer technology in our lives, there's two formats for most textbooks. There's the traditional hard copy textbook, and this is the one that we're all familiar with from elementary and high school. You've got a piece of a book. It's got 200 pages in it. You flip the pages with your finger, and you know how it works. Hard copy textbooks, they work. It's a proven technology. But many publishers nowadays also publish their books in e-text format. A nice thing about e-text format is that they're less expensive than the hard copy book. So maybe the hard copy book costs $120, and the ebook maybe it only costs like $70. So you can save quite a bit of money by ebook. Maybe it only costs like $70. So you can save quite a bit of money by using ebooks. However, a drawback of using ebooks is that now you're dependent on technology. Now you're dependent on the internet. If you don't have a very good internet service in your area and you're trying to do your homework, you can have problems. Anyways, there's options out there. There's options out there. Okay, so next, I have a list of some challenges that students sometimes experience. So this is just a list of common student challenges, and I think a big challenge of students is that they underestimate how much work is required taking 3 to 5 courses per term. Especially in the first term, this is a lot of work. If you work full time and you're trying to take 3 courses or 5 courses, you're not going to have very much time for other things in your life. That's just a fact. So common challenges that students experience is, if you have work responsibilities, you're busy during the day, well, then you don't have as much time for schoolwork. If you have family responsibilities, well, then you don't have as much time for schoolwork. If you're taking courses at other schools at the same time as NLC, then you don't have as much time for your schoolwork at NLC. If you've been out of school for a number of years, and we have a lady this year in our course, she's doing very well. She's a very good student, but she's been out of school for 30 years. So if you've been out of school a long time, your study skills could be rusty, and it could take you a while to kind of get up to speed in our program. So if you do not have a good home computer with high-speed internet access, you are probably going to have some challenges. If you try to complete your assignments at the last minute, you could have some challenges. If you underestimate the frequency of technology issues, I can guarantee that you will have technology issues. Your internet's going to be blocked out at times. You're going to have problems with the publisher websites at times. There will be some technology challenges. There's no way around it. And if you kind of misunderstand what the nature of a deadline is, all of our courses have deadlines, synchronous, and asynchronous classes. There's deadlines, and we need to complete stuff by the deadline. Okay, so to kind of wrap up, what are some advantages of taking your business admin certificate at NLC? Well, you can take your courses from your home community. If you're working, well, then you can take the program on a part-time basis. If you have family responsibilities, again, you can do your courses from home. Instead of having to move to the city to take your program, you can do it from home. You can take the program on a full-time basis or part-time basis. Our courses are recognized in other programs or other schools. So NLC's Human Resource Management Diploma, for example. We like to think that we have supportive, understanding, and knowledgeable instructors. And if you're a high school student, some of our courses can be done on a dual credit basis. So you can go to both the high school and college at the same time. Okay, so I'm supposed to remind you that if you apply to the program today, you can save a $50 application fee. And we're to encourage students to enter into the draws because there's some paraphernalia that you can win in these draws. And finally, so if you have any questions, go ahead and ask your questions. We also, on the line at the moment, we also have Chelsea. So Chelsea's our program administrator. She's also based in Slave Lake, and this is her phone number and this is her email address. So if you have any questions for me or for Chelsea, now's a good time to ask them.